Today we're going to be talking about sort of the one of the main artists that helped get reggaeton to the main scene, which was Daddy Yankee, and with his song Gasolina, who announced his retirement and also released this album Legendary.
Is that song?
Le-
That song's almost 20 years old now, isn't it? What year did it come out in? Like oh
La
six, oh
Gasolina?
seven. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was 2004.
Wow.
Porque hay que subirle al mambo para que las gatas prendan los motores. And
Yes.
then we also have the the new album by Bad Bunny, which I guess there's some controversy, although there's a lot of hits in that album, a lot of different styles. I think probably Bad Bunny stays true to his style of having some experimentation, some deep messages,
Hmm.
and some good vibes on his album. But yes, the Gasolina was featured in Daddy Yankee's Barrio Fino,
Hmm.
released in November 1st, 2004.
Wow. Yeah, I can't believe it's been that long. So, just to throw it out there, I want to comment. I've commented this before, and we did the podcast on Bad Bunny being overrated, and you were educating me as to why he wasn't overrated, and
Haters are gonna hate.
yeah, haters are gonna hate. I still don't really see what the big deal is. I still don't really understand why this guy is so popular. Daddy Yankee, I thought he was okay. He was good también. But these guys are huge now in terms of the international scene. And one of the things that I mean, you might find this controversial or not, and we don't really have to talk about this, but I get the sense that with hip hop, just the quality of the music has gone down in general, so that these guys are actually quite good, but in a genre that doesn't really have the same quality as it used to before. It's like very 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 watered down music, very simplistic in a way, with the auto tune and being more of entertainers as opposed to actual artists. So that in this day and age, I suppose if we're evaluating him just based on the fact that overall the quality of music has gone down over the decades, then maybe right is that why he's so popular? Just because the bar has been set so low for what's good music, or is that just me
L-
hating?
Listen, Renee, why you gotta be such a purist?
Oh right, I sound like Rene, verdad?
You do.
But Rene thinks very highly of Bad Bunny.
He does, and I think in part to answer your question is that, I mean, the music that Bad Bunny's making is not pure reggaeton, and I mean, reggaeton itself was a mix of reggae and hip hop, and I think that's one of the reasons, particularly artists like Daddy Yankee, Tego Calderon, Ivy Queen, a lot of them saw themselves more as hip hoppers who were spitting their rhymes over both hip hop beats but also reggae beats, and they added that mix, right? So that's where that reggaeton beat comes from. I think that Bad Bunny is now at the natural evolution of the genre. It has a lot of different musical elements, right? So a lot of it's not even reggaeton. It's a little bit is trap. Out of it is also like electronic music, dance music, and some experimentation, right? So yeah, so it's not almost, well, they're in the same family. It's not like an apples to apples comparison,
No,
right?
you're right. You're
And I
right. And
think
I should have mentioned trap in español, because that is what he's doing. Uh, I think what I said still stands, that even as I mentioned earlier, even within hip hop, the whole trap movement, how the quality of the music has just, it seems to be deteriorating so much that you have a lot of artists that are more entertainers as opposed to having any actual artistic ability, with the exception of someone like Kendrick Lamar, but he's not doing trap.
no, and actually his new song um, that I heard this week, I mean, it has a lot of great musical elements, very jazzy, right? It has hip hop lyric, but musically is very rich.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is in some ways representative of what has happened in so many genres, including hip hop, where in some ways, once you get away from the true essence of the genre, which is, you know, black people, poor people living in el barrio who are having these hard lives, and then as the genre becomes more popular, it gets watered down, and it also gets more white, and then as a result, is embraced by more people of the community, right? So even in one of his songs, uh, Bad Bunny mentions in El Apagon in particular, he talks that now everybody, reggaeton started in Carolina, and now everybody likes reggaeton. But the reason why everybody likes reggaeton is not so much because of they they watched it from the beginning like some of us have, but it's just because you have light skinned artists, some artists that have also added pop elements, including the Colombian reggaetoneros and others
Mm-hmm.
who have sort of made it mainstream. But at the same time, it's pretty impressive that is the kind of song that and music that is now recognized worldwide and that people identify, whether you're a Latin American, a Mexican, or somebody who's here in the United States or in Europe. There's this connection to reggaeton music.
Yeah, so why don't you tell me a little bit about this latest album, this song that we have here, El Apagon? I think I can play a few seconds of it before, maybe like 5, 6 seconds, just to get a sense of it, and then we can talk a little bit about it.
Please, I need my Apagon fix.
Está bien cabrón, de Carolina sale reggaetón y los hijueputas de Bayamón. Ey, ey, quieren montarse en la ola y no han ido a rincón un beso.
Yeah, stop it there just to play it safe.
Fire, son. Fire. Spit in fire.
So, if you recall from the last time that we did this recording, the one criticism that I had about the reggaeton, or this sounded to me like the reggaeton beat, but I don't know if it is. But one of the criticisms that I had was that I wanted it stripped down just to the instruments. I thought if they made more songs just with the live, authentic sound, with the actual instruments, as opposed to not so much the auto tune and the electric equipment, that it would sound a lot nicer. And this actually sounds really nice to me. Like I'm not a big fan of Bad Bunny's delivery, the way that he raps, but I do like the song, the way it sounds, and then the lyrics are pretty good too.
It is, and I think I wish my buddy Robertico, who is el conguero from Puerto Rico, uh, could tell me what the beat is. But in some ways, that beat, the drum, right, is very it's almost an homage to bomba y plena, but particular to bomba, right? Like a strong. It's not completely a bomba beat, but it's close enough, and it may be a bomba beat, right? A bomba being the genre from Puerto Rico, very Afro, Afro, Afro beat, right? So I think a few things. So just this is a perfect example of a song that combines so many of the elements that make Bad Bunny music great. So first of all, the political commentary, right? So El Apagón, right? So El Apagón, for those of you who grew up in Latin America, you know what the Apagón is. It sucks. Is when the light goes out. It happened in Colombia all the time. It still happens in Puerto Rico. It happens all over Latin America. And in some ways, it's a criticism to the situation when you have the takeover of the public utility by a private utility,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still having issues. And there's the issue of underinvestment, and perhaps corruption, and sort of taking those funds and not dedicating them to where it is, right? So you take the situation like El Apagón, you give it a good beat. He also talks about the pride of being Puerto Rican, right? The fact that reggaeton started there, recognizing some of their salsa and reggaeton stars, some of the athletic stars too, right? The
Mm-hmm.
basketball stars. And it's also this good feeling song, and it has this amazing beat, and then it has this chorus, very provocative chorus. Some would say very vulgar, vulgar, un- a vulgar chorus that is just about having a good time. It has the element of people singing together at a dance party or like in a club. And then towards the end, it kind of gets into the electronic music, English American music, but at the same time, it's kind of saying, "This is my land. This is where I live. I'm not gonna go anywhere. Why don't if what I don't want to go anywhere. They're the ones that need to leave," alluding to a lot of the current situation with outsiders coming to the island and trying to take over the island. So
Yeah.
all of that is captured in 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
And he has a reference here to Teo Calderon. Who's the other one? Tierra de Mael. Is that a geographic location or is that another artist?
I
Tierra de
believe he was
Maelo.
a singer, a salsa singer or a New York singer.
And obviously, we can't play the whole song because then our video is going to get flagged with the copyright. We may not even be able to upload it if we do so. The best we can do is just look here, see the subtitles for the lyrics. So we listened to this one, and then there's this other one, the Moscow Mule. This is also in the latest album.
Yes, Un Verano Sin Ti. And just so I correct myself, Maelo is actually Ismael Rivera, and I think he's one of like the most prominent salseros, also Afro descendants. So I've learned here that he's from Santurce, which is a sector in San Juan where if you want to have a good time, you go to Santurce, and which actually Santurce, I came to find out this past or last summer that that is actually it was a place where a lot of Afro descendants in Puerto Rico ended up living.
Okay. And since you mentioned Daddy Yankee in the beginning, was there a collaboration here? Do any of the songs feature Daddy Yankee? Since he did announce his retirement earlier this year, so maybe that would have been a good way for him to go out, or a good show of respect from Bad Bunny to Daddy Yankee if he would have featured him in one of the songs.
Yes, very true. I want to say that actually it was the other way around that Daddy Yankee featured Bad Bunny in one of his songs, but I need to double check that.
So overall, what's your take on this album? Is this his best one, or is it good but not as good as previous ones? Or is he still trailblazing, setting the bar for the next artist to try to match that? Where do you stand on this album?
I think I think it still has a lot of surprises in it. And I think the other thing about Bad Bunny that I noticed in this album and in other songs that he has this ability. So, for instance, there's this song in this album called Andrea that's about a young woman from the poor part of Puerto Rico, from La Perla, and kind of talks about the hustle and this really amazing experience of being a woman in Puerto Rico, and sort of a little bit of social critique about how women in Puerto Rico are treated, actually, as unfortunately as is happening in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
In Puerto Rico, there's unfortunately, a lot of violence against women, a lot of women who are killed by their partners, etc. So is this empowerment video about her experience and trying to get ahead, going to school, working, etc. And at the same time, a lot of his songs are super sexualizing women, right?
So I just thought of something too, because you certainly pay attention to the lyrics, but do you think that other fans in general also are listening to his songs because of the content, or just because of the sound, because of the beat, because of you can dance to it in a club or jam to it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think some fans do appreciate both the lyrics and the message, but I think most people, like it often happens, they're singing, dancing the song with really not understanding what the song is about, which
Mm-hmm.
I've been guilty of, right? When you dance something, you dance a song, it's like, oh yeah, this is funny, like this is an awesome song. Like think the song that sticks to me is was that the song about
Sopa de
the
cara
taliman,
sopa
huh?
de caracol.
Well, Sopa de Caracol. Well, I don't know how controversial that
No,
is,
I
but
know,
it's
but I'm just saying as an
the
example of you dancing to something you don't even know what they're saying.
exactly, yeah. What a very good soup.
Yeah.
But no, but like there's the song, the Come Tali Man Tali My Banana, right? Like, and people dancing have this song, and it's a song about a poor Jamaican plantation worker, either working in Jamaica or in Latin America,
Mm-hmm.
asking for their bananas to be counted because they're tired, they want to go home, and there's this thing, right? People are dancing to that. I was like, you realize that you're dancing to that, or the Joey Arroyo song, like No Le Pega la Negra, right?
Yeah, that
Rebellion.
one.
It's always
Man.
like, I'll be like, this is a really
O
sad
mami,
story,
¿qué será lo que
but it's
quiere el negro?
an amazing song.
Yeah, yeah. Or I mean, it happens. Even Chappelle joked about this with the song de Lil Jon, From the Window to the Wall. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, so all right, something else, because we did come across this article here. Bad Bunny's new album is packed with summer hits, but it has a representation problem. So even Bad Bunny can't escape the criticism now. So what did he do wrong? Like, who did he upset?
good question. I have not gotten a chance to read the criticism, but I'm sure
Oh,
that there's a few things that people may have issue with.
aquí está, mira. The overarching upset here is an album filled with Dominicanisms and its flagrant lack of representation, which makes it hard to listen to at first. So, this author is saying that the album was inspired, or that its theme is centered around Dominican elements, yet it doesn't represent Dominican culture. It doesn't have Dominican people in the videos, perhaps. I'm not sure. I mean, just kind
Well,
of
it could be
strange.
it, and maybe it doesn't feature Dominican artists. At the same time, I mean, he's done collaborations with El Alfa, and some of his
Then,
most famous songs include like bachata beats, also tembo beats, and things like that. So I think it's a legitimate point. I think that tembo and some of the other elements that are very popular, that become very eventually very popular, like dembow,
mm-hmm,
are oftentimes sort of taken from Dominican inspiration, Dominican songs, and then sort of uh, expanded. So I think one of the reasons why J Baldwin got into hot water was because he worked with a Dominican artist. Is the video where he did not have the presence of mind to think that it was not okay for him to have two women of color
dark skinned women on a leash.
on leashes,
Yeah.
exactly. But it was like, okay, this is the culture, right? So in some ways, the Dominican tembo and some of the Dominican genres represent kind of like what's genuinely like in La Calle, right? And not just because it's La Calle in Dominican Republic, but also in New York and in other places. So in some ways, uh, and a lot of that essence is because of the strong African influence,
Mm-hmm.
musical influence in the Dominican Republic.
And I think the comment section here gives us an insight into the criticism. This guy says ridiculous. This other one says it's clickbait. And this one, I feel like either you or I could have posted this comment. I'm Puerto Rican, born and raised, and I don't get the critique. Like, is the author annoyed that a Puerto Rican artist didn't include more than one Dominican in his album? It makes zero sense since there is representation already. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Again, I'm not as plugged into this as you are, but I mean, you can complain, right? A Chilean guy could say, well, Bad Bunny didn't feature any Chileans. So, but then again, I don't really know how immersed the entire album is in Dominican elements, so it's hard to say. But
But yeah, but I mean, but even in that song El Apagón, what is a verse that says, saludos a mis vecinos de RD, de
mm,
República Dominicana.
mm,
And
okay.
then he continues to talk about Puerto Rico and the fact that el sol de ahí está hino. So, I mean, the influence, the love, the appreciation that Bad Bunny, at least that I've perceived musically, that he's shown to the Dominican Republic, um, I think has been pretty evident, pretty strong. Could it be better? Could he feature more more artists? Could he also? I also noticed that there's some songs where he has this beautiful female voices, but I don't think the collaborations are noted in his track, right?
Mm,
So that's another. I know that was an issue with his Yo Perreo
mm.
Sola song. So
Yeah, well, enough opportunity to find yourself in controversy these days también. So, but I don't think this is such a big deal. I mean, honestly, I think overall, based on what you said, it sounds like the guy's always been pretty inclusive, pretty open, and experiments a lot and pushes boundaries. So, you know, I think this is probably the least of his concerns. So anyway, thanks for the update on these albums. We'll check in again in a few years to see what Bad Bunny is up to. Maybe he'll be featured in his own Narco or in his own series. This one based around storylines and characters in Puerto Rico, right? That'd be pretty sweet.
it could be since he already acted in the real Narcos
Yeah,
series
that's
on
what I mean.
Netflix.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. If you all out there enjoy our content, make sure to check us out. We are Brown Perspective. Nos vemos.
Boom.